Hey, Ontario, come on down to BetMGM Casino and check out our newest exclusive, The Price is Right Fortune Pick. Don't miss out. Play exciting casino games based on the iconic game show only at BetMGM. Access to The Price is Right Fortune Pick is only available at BetMGM Casino. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. 18 plus to wager Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario.
Welcome to Ghoul Talk, open late. Just a heads up, we'll be talking about death, obituaries, and real people. We mean no disrespect to the deceased, their families, or their communities. Whenever necessary, names or details may be changed or omitted. Our goal is to share stories, find the humor in the strange and the spooky, and keep things lighthearted, never cruel. It's that magical time of year when we hang lights, drink nog, and accidentally one-click purchase a cursed doll. If the spirits want to prime themselves over, who am I to stop them?
At this point, I'm hoping the cursed doll knows how to wrap presents, because I'm emotionally out of patience and tape.
Welcome to Ghoul Talk Open Late, the Christmas episode where the ghosts don't take a holiday, the twinkle lights act suspicious, and we've got savage obits and listener submissions to prove that the afterlife is just as petty as the holidays.
So grab your cocoa, cuddle up, roast your chestnuts on an open fire, and let's get festive, because nothing says holiday spirit like something actually possessing you. Let's start with a little seasonal divination, because what's more fun than begging the universe for clarity and then blaming Mercury anyway?
And we've got the Eight of Cups reversed. That's the emotional boomerang card. When you try to walk away from your problems, but your problems text you back.
Yeah, upright says, walk away gracefully. Reverse says, trip over the same lesson again, but with flair.
Speaking of lessons that come back to bite you, literally, let's dig into Phantom Files. Tonight's tale isn't a haunting, it's a holiday horror. But first, let's talk snackies, because what's a little holiday horror without something to stress eat?
Are you ready for snacks?
I guess so, yeah.
This evening, I brought us snacks that are a little callback to our first episode, which you might remember. First, we've got peanut M&Ms
Peanut
with the peanut in it, and Sarah's favorite, the peanut butter M&Ms. Because yes, folks, they are two different things. They even have different colored bags. One is yellow and the other is red, at least where we live anyways. So I got one for you and one for me, because I like the peanut
and I like the peanut butter.
I thought you'd like that.
Yay!
All right,
Those over here.
Snacks secured, spirits high. Let's talk about a Christmas legend who prefers his treats screaming. The true story of Krampus. Long before Christmas lights twinkled in the windows of towns and cities, the people of the Alpine Mountains lived through winters that were long, dark, and full of mystery. Snow blanketed the forest so thick that even sound seemed to vanish beneath it, and villagers gathered close to their fires, whispering tales of the creatures that prowled in the cold. Among these stories, none was told more often, or with more shivers, than that of Krampus, the shadow who walked beside St. Nicholas.
Okay.
Every December, when the nights grew longest, St. Nicholas would ride down from the mountains on his white steed, his cloak bright as the snow. He brought gifts for the kind and the obedient, golden apples, nuts, and sweets tucked into the shoes of good children who waited eagerly by their doors. But St. Nicholas did not travel alone. Behind him, hidden at first among the trees, came the sound of chains dragging through the snow, and the low, rattling breath of something not entirely human.
Oh, I just got chills.
That was Krampus, the saint's dark companion. Half man, half goat, covered in coarse black fur, his horns curving like the roots of ancient trees. His eyes glowed like embers. Where Nicholas carried gifts, Krampus carried a bundle of birch rods and a wicker basket slung across his back. On the eve of St. Nicholas's Day, December 5th, Krampusnacht, the people would lock their doors early. They said on this night, Krampus roamed free, stalking from house to house in search of mischief makers. In every village, the children trembled as they remembered his warning. Be good, or Krampus will come for you. If you had lied, stolen, or disobeyed your parents, you might hear the scrape of his hooves on the roof, or the rattle of his chains outside the door. Some said he would swat bad children with his birch branches. Others whispered he would stuff them into his baskets and carry them away into the mountains, never to be seen again. But there was more to Krampus than just cruelty. In the oldest stories, those told before St. Nicholas came, Krampus was a spirit of winter itself, born from the cold, wild forests. He was said to guard the balance between darkness and light, punishment and reward. When St. Nicholas arrived, bringing warmth, generosity, and faith, Krampus followed, bringing fear, discipline, and respect for nature's power. Together, they were two halves of one lesson, that kindness has meaning only when you understand the weight of wrongdoing. For many years, the church tried to drive Krampus out of Christmas. His horns and chains were too frightening, too pagan, too ancient. But stories have a way of surviving, especially in places where the snow still falls thick and the wind still howls through the pines. Today, in the mountain towns of Austria and Germany, people once again dress as Krampus. They stomp through the streets in fur masks, shaking bells and chasing laughter instead of tears. They remember that even in the season of joy, there must be room for the old spirits, the ones who remind us that the light is brightest after the dark.
So creepy.
And so every winter, when you hear the jingle of bells outside and the crunch of snow underfoot, it might be St. Nicholas coming with his gifts. But listen closer. Beneath the cheerful sounds, there may be something else. The faint clink of chains, the echo of hooves, and the low growl of laughter carried on the cold December wind. Because Krampus, the shadow of Christmas, still walks the world to remind us to be good, to be kind, and never forget the dark that keeps the light alive.
He's so creepy.
Now, I just want to add, because I was confused and needed some clarification. St. Nicholas Day is not Christmas, though they're closely related. St. Nicholas Day is December 6th, or the eve of December 5th, falling within the season of Advent. It is celebrated mostly in Europe, Germany, Austria, the Netherlands, Belgium, Poland, and parts of Eastern Europe. It honors St. Nicholas of Myra, a 4th century Christian bishop known for his generosity and gift-giving, especially to children and the poor. On the night of December 5th, St. Nicholas Eve, kids leave their shoes or boots out, and St. Nick fills them with candy, fruit, or small gifts. Bad kids might get a lump of coal, or in some traditions, a visit from Krampus, St. Nick's terrifying assistant. So, St. Nicholas Day is the original inspiration for Santa Claus, long before Christmas morning presents became a thing. Christmas celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ in Christian tradition. Over time, St. Nicholas's story merged with Christmas, especially in English-speaking countries, turning St. Nicholas into Santa Claus. Now, instead of December 6th, Santa visits on Christmas Eve, bringing Christmas gifts on Christmas morning.
So, 2025. What do we get for being naughty? A strongly worded email. An elf on the shelf silently judging us. Maybe coal, if your parents are petty.
Yep.
Europe in the 1800s. Timmy forgot to say thank you. Guess he's getting hoof printed into the underworld.
Bye.
Have you seen the parades that they do?
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness. It's crazier than Halloween. Like, the costumes are
I kind of like
amazing.
That. Have you seen the most recent Krampus movie?
Yeah.
It's very camp.
Yes, it is.
It's camp. And I
heard
watch
my
it.
disappointment.
I watch it every year. It's ridiculous, but awesome. If you haven't seen it, I want to spoil it so bad, but I'm not going to, because the end is like, oh, I like the end. You're just like, shoot. So I won't spoil it, but I'm going to tell you right now, just, you got to watch it. There's probably a million, but it's like the most recent one, 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds right.
I don't know. I like them. I really do.
Yep.
Because we all know at least one kid that could use a light, festive kidnapping.
And hey, guess what? That's a great story to tell your kids if they're acting up a little, you know? You just say, hey, watch out. Krampus. It's hiding in the shadows. He might come after you.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed my bedtime story.
So creeped out.
This episode is brought to you by Spreaker, the platform responsible for a rapidly spreading condition known as podcast brain. Symptoms include buying microphones you don't need, explaining RSS feeds to confused relatives, and saying things like, "Sorry, I can't talk right now, I'm editing audio." If this sounds familiar, you're probably already a podcaster. The good news is Spreaker makes the whole process simple. You record your show, upload it once, and Spreaker distributes it everywhere people listen. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and about a dozen apps your cousin swears are the next big thing. Even better, Spreaker helps you monetize your show with ads, meaning your podcast might someday pay for, well, more microphones. Start your show today at Spreaker.com. Spreaker, because if you're going to talk to yourself for an hour, you might as well publish it.
Speaking of Christmas gone wrong, let's talk about a holiday classic that makes you double-check the attic.
Every December, normal people rewatch Love Actually. I rewatch Black Christmas because nothing warms the heart like a sorority house, a rotary phone, and a voice whispering, "Agnes," from the attic. Now, the big question everyone asks, was it inspired by true events? And the short answer is, kind of. In 1974, Canadian horror classic directed by Bob Clark, yes, the same man who later gave us The Christmas Story, took its sleigh ride inspiration from two places, urban legend and very real horror. Let's start with the folklore part, the babysitter and the man upstairs. It was a popular urban legend long before the internet ruined everything, about a girl who gets creepy calls while babysitting, until the police trace the line and realize the calls are coming from inside the house.
Inside the house.
Every babysitter's worst nightmare and every horror writer's best gift. But Clark also drew inspiration from something closer to home. The real-life Toronto Christmas murders of 1943, where a 14-year-old named Wilma Morrison was killed after attending a Christmas party. Her body found not far from her home. While not a carbon copy, the eerie sense of domestic danger, the idea that horror can live next door, under your roof, gave Black Christmas its disturbingly local edge. There's also speculation the story mirrors The Basement Murderer of Montreal, a case from the 1950s involving mysterious disappearances near women's boarding houses. But officially, the film's writer, Roy Moore, just said he wanted to write a horror story that could actually happen, which frankly, it's the most Canadian understatement of all time. What made Black Christmas iconic, aside from its feminist rage and soundtrack that sounds like a piano having a breakdown, is that it predates Halloween by 4 years. Meaning, this was the first real slasher movie.
What?
Michael Myers, he walked because Billy from the attic sprinted, barefoot, through fake snow with a phone cord in hand. Here's the kicker. Bob Clark could have changed horror history even more. John Carpenter asked him if he'd ever do a sequel. Clark said, sure. Maybe the killer gets caught and escapes on Halloween night. And Carpenter said, cool, thanks. And then made Halloween.
No!
I thought you'd like that.
John.
So yes, Black Christmas is basically the spooky, forgotten older sibling of Halloween.
Oh my life's been a lie.
Sorry. But this is Ghoul Talk. That's what I'm here for. So next time you're stringing lights or pouring eggnog, remember, in the grand cinematic family tree, A Christmas Story and Black Christmas are by the same dad. One gave us, you'll shoot your eye out. The other gave us, the calls are coming from inside the house.
Wow, what a range. Talent.
Merry Crisis.
Merry Chrysler. Merry Christmas. Enough fiction. Let's get morbid. Final draft starts now.
This one comes from Jacksonville, Florida, 2022. The family of a man named Lawrence H. Paff Sr. wrote an obituary that, let's just say, wasn't your typical tribute. It made national headlines because it was less of a eulogy and more of a Yelp review for bad parenting.
Oh, scathing.
It opens with, it will be challenging to miss Lawrence Sr. because he was narcissistic. He was incapable of love. Yeah, that's the opener. Imagine reading that with your morning coffee. The kind of obituary that makes you stop mid-scroll, makes you wonder if you accidentally opened Reddit instead of the local news. From a young age, he was described as a ladies' man and an abusive alcoholic, solidifying his commitment to both with the path of destruction he left behind, damaging his adult children and leaving them broken.
Wow. like, written word, it's just so much more.
It's
like
mean.
It's one thing to say it, but to write it down and publish it.
When your kid's obit reads like a true crime podcast intro, you know you messed up. At that point, even my beloved Dateline's like, whoa, too dark, man. And if that's not enough emotional damage for one paragraph, it continues. Lawrence Sr.'s passing proves that evil does eventually die.
Oh, God.
Bold. That's not shade, that's an emotional eclipse. And it doesn't stop there. The writer continues, he enjoyed abusing his first wife and children.
Oh, God.
I know. He possessed no redeeming qualities and will be missed by no one.
Wow.
The poor obituary editor probably just hit publish, sighed, and accepted that his career was over. Full send. He can be remembered, it says, for being a father to many and a dad to none.
Oh.
Translation, he was there for the science, not the sentiment.
Gut punch.
The obituary was written by his son, Lawrence Paff Jr., who said later, he didn't write it for revenge. He said it was about telling the truth, about giving a voice to those who had to survive him. He even wrote, I speak for the majority of his family when I say, our wish is that he will be forgotten entirely, except as a reminder of what no human being should ever be. That's not closure, that's a public service announcement.
Wow. No kidding.
And honestly, it went viral because most obits airbrush the ugly right out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
They gloss over the bad with lines like, he will be missed, or he lived life to the fullest. But this one, full scorched earth.
Yeah, they weren't lying.
No, he'll be missed, no gentle fade out, just the emotional equivalent of slamming the coffin lid shut. Honestly, this man didn't burn bridges, he torched his own family tree.
Wow. I don't know what I'm applauding for, but...
Good for you, family, for getting back at him.
I'm speechless. It obviously needed to be done.
Yeah. So we'll
worth
pour one
every
out.
penny.
We'll pour one out for that buddy, but not
you know
really.
Cheers to the family for
Cheers.
writing that. And because Florida never disappoints, Sarah, do you know about the Florida man phenomenon?
No.
You don't?
Like the Florida man? Like,
yeah.
I thought it was just Florida just unleashes horrible things.
Well, if you've ever seen a headline like, Florida man arrested for throwing alligator through drive-thru window, or Florida woman attacks husband with frozen chicken for changing the TV channel, then you've encountered it. Florida man and its counterpart, Florida woman, is an internet meme and social archetype describing bizarre, ridiculous, or criminal behavior that originates in the U.S. state of Florida. It became a cultural shorthand for outlandish news stories, a kind of ongoing chaotic superhero comic where Florida man is the world's most unpredictable character. So why Florida? It's not that Floridians are inherently weirder or worse than anyone else. The phenomenon has logical roots in transparency laws and demographics. The main reasons. The Sunshine Law. Florida has some of the most open public records laws in the U.S. Police reports, arrest records, and indecent logs are often available almost immediately to journalists.
Huh.
This means local news outlets can report wild-sounding stories the same day they happen, something that's not possible in most states. Population and diversity. Florida has over 22 million people from all walks of life, with heavy tourism, retirees, transplants, and transient populations. The mix of cultures, climates, and sometimes chaotic social situations lead to more varied incidents. Year-round chaos. Because of its warm weather, there's no winter slowdown for crime or accidents. And in heavy drinking, beach culture, an active nightlife, and you get a constant stream of unusual behavior.
Girls Gone Wild.
Exactly. This became known as the Florida Man Challenge, and it fueled the belief that Florida itself generates a statistically abnormal number of absurd crimes. In reality, it's more about visibility and reporting bias. But the theory humorously suggests that Florida is a kind of chaotic nexus where reason breaks down. Some sociologists and journalists see Florida Man as an example of how the internet flattens news into entertainment. It turns real human tragedy or eccentricity into viral absurdity. People use it to laugh at chaos from a distance while ignoring deeper issues like mental illness, poverty, or addiction. Others argue it's a form of collective catharsis, an outlet for anxiety about American weirdness, lawlessness, or freedom taken too far.
As a Canadian, I get that.
Florida, being sunny and lawless seeming, becomes the perfect stage for those anxieties to play out. Now, because of all this, we have the Florida Man theory, and it goes something like this. If you take any random date and type it into Google along with the phrase Florida Man, you'll find a headline describing something bizarre that happened that day. Or my personal favorite, start with your birthday and add Florida Man or woman to it and see what comes up. You can also head over to floridamanbirthday.org and try it out. There's an actual website. Here's mine from that site.
Oh my god.
The zoo's lost animals were found in the home of a Florida man. 11 animals had gone missing at a university zoo. A man was arrested for having 7 of the animals that disappeared from the zoo in his home.
What?
And another one on my birthday. Florida man tries to break into ATM with blowtorch, welds it shut instead.
Well, okay, wait. Did the first guy try to save the animals, or did he steal them?
Who knows? He's just a Florida man doing what Florida men do. So you can go to that website, and I was thinking maybe we should go there right now and put your birthday in.
Okay.
And see what comes up.
Let's see.
Okay, we're going to check for Sarah's birthday on the floridamanbirthday.org. Okay, and because your birthday was recently, this should be a good one.
I'm nervous.
Florida man arrested for defrauding the state of California of more than $10 million.
Whoa!
He was a 43-year-old man from Miami.
Wow.
He had to pay a $250,000 fine.
But, okay, wait. So does he keep the 10 million?
Another incident on your birthday. Florida man offers chicken dinner and $3 to get lucky.
Okay, well, understandable.
$3. In this economy, you know.
Yeah, and
it
chicken.
only makes sense. Mm-hmm. So everybody listening at home, don't forget, Google or go to the website, floridamanbirthday.org, type in your birthday, and see what headline fits your birthday. You are most welcome.
Thanks. Florida gave us chaos, but humanity never stops trying to outdo itself.
This episode is brought to you by Spreaker, the platform responsible for a rapidly spreading condition known as podcast brain. Symptoms include buying microphones you don't need, explaining RSS feeds to confused relatives, and saying things like, "Sorry, I can't talk right now, I'm editing audio." If this sounds familiar, you're probably already a podcaster. The good news is Spreaker makes the whole process simple. You record your show, upload it once, and Spreaker distributes it everywhere people listen. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and about a dozen apps your cousin swears are the next big thing. Even better, Spreaker helps you monetize your show with ads, meaning your podcast might someday pay for, well, more microphones. Start your show today at Spreaker.com. Spreaker, because if you're going to talk to yourself for an hour, you might as well publish it.
Final Destination Amateur Hour is up next with a couple creative exits.
So my amateur hour is inspired by a great Florida man, of course. This story is titled The Electric Reindeer. It was a December evening in a quiet Florida neighborhood, the kind of place where every front yard glowed with inflatable Santas, blinking lights, and plastic snowmen. Free Frosty! Melting under the subtropical humidity, right? But to Hal, age 52, this year was going to be different. He was tired of losing the annual neighborhood decoration contest to the Johnsons across the street. Those smug people with their synchronized light show and inflatable sleigh. Hal was determined to outshine them all. A tale as old as time. 2 weeks before Christmas, Hal announced to his wife that he was going all in. He found an enormous metal reindeer frame at a salvage yard, 12 feet tall, welded from steel rods. It looked majestic, like something that might guard the gates of the North Pole. Imagine it, he said, eyes glittering, covered in lights, glowing over the whole block.
I just saw Clark.
And that's exactly what he did. Hal wrapped the reindeer in hundreds of string lights, looping cords around every limb and antler. But the problem was power. There wasn't enough outdoor outlets. So like many DIY dreamers before him, he improvised. He ran a chain of extension cords from the garage, the porch, even the Christmas tree outlet, inside the living room. He plugged adapters into adapters, used duct tape to seal connections, and ignored the faint smell of hot plastic that lingered afterward.
Are you sure this isn't Clark?
When he flipped the switch, the reindeer burst to life, a towering, glowing beast of light. For one night, it was perfect. The next evening, dark clouds rolled in from the Gulf. Thunder rumbled, and fat raindrops began to fall, drenching the streets, soaking the decorations, and hissing against Hal's shining reindeer. Inside the house, his wife noticed the lights outside flickering oddly, sparking blue in the rain. Hal, she called from the kitchen. I think the reindeer's shorting out. But Hal was already halfway out the door, clutching a ladder and muttering, just a loose bulb. Can't lose to the Johnsons. The wind howled as he climbed up, boots slipping slightly on the wet shingles. The reindeer glowed above him, every light trembling under the rain. Hal reached out, gripping one of the antlers to steady himself. That's when it happened. A flash of light so bright, it turned the raindrops white. The reindeer let out a buzzing shriek, and Hal's body went stiff, every muscle locking in an instant. The current traveled through the metal frame, through his hands, and straight to the ground. He fell backwards onto the lawn, smoke curling from his jacket. When the paramedics arrived, the reindeer was still glowing faintly. One leg blackened. The smell of ozone thickened the air.
Okay, wait. Ozone. We don't talk about that anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
But you knew what I meant, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was the most terrifying thing in the world when we were kids.
Well,
Anyway.
the Johnsons, they turned their lights out. Out of respect. The official report called it accidental electrocution. Improper use of extension cords. No ground fault circuit interrupters and exposure to moisture. The neighbors called it something else. Every December since, they've said that on stormy nights, if you look just right, you can see the faint glow of a reindeer at the end of the yard, lights flickering in the rain, waiting for Hal to finish his work.
Oh.
So remember, if you've got too many plugs and not enough outlets, just connect 6 extension cords together like a daisy chain of doom and pretend physics doesn't apply to you. It's like playing electrical Russian roulette, but the prize is a fire. Don't worry about that third prong, the ground wire. That's just for weaklings who don't like their house smelling like burnt toast. Who needs grounding when you can experience raw, unfiltered voltage straight to your soul? You'll know it's working when your lights flicker like a haunted house, your cords feel warm and tingly, so will you soon. The breaker trips and you call it a mystery.
Yeah.
Remember, electricity doesn't care about your confidence, your shortcuts, or your creative outlet management. It's not a personality test, it's science with consequences. So please, for the love of your eyebrows, buy a power strip. Use one cord. Respect the ground. Because the only sparks you should see are in a rom-com, not in a giant reindeer. Thank you, and good night.
That's so good. Yeah, that was like another Clark Griswold story. My
Another
favorite.
cautionary tale.
Yeah. Oh, and I have one too. And yeah, it's a little bit Christmassy. All right, buckle up, my frostbitten friends. We're heading to Wisconsin in February 2007, where the snow was deep, the machinery was humming, and one 63-year-old mechanic decided to tempt fate and rotating metal. Weird how we went that way.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
It's after hours at a ski resort. The guests are in the lodge sipping cocoa and overpaying for chili fries, and our guy is just trying to move a snowblower attachment. But not just any snowblower. A 72-inch industrial auger. You know, the kind of machine that looks like it could digest a Volkswagen. Now, at some point, he decides to reach into the moving parts while on the machine still running, because apparently turning it off first is for quitters. 1 second, he's fixing a clog. The next, he's staring into the worst episode of Mythbusters that never aired. His jacket gets caught, and that auger yanks him in faster than your credit card bill after Christmas. When first responders arrive, they find exactly what you'd think they'd find. And I'm not talking about mistletoe. OSHA later released a report that said, and I quote, "The auger continued to rotate even after contact," which feels like the coldest possible corporate way to say, this man got absolutely blendered.
Yep.
And here's where it gets truly festive. The resort had safety signs everywhere. Do not operate while maintenance is in progress. Do not approach while moving. Do not stick your body in the spinny thing of death. He ignored them all, because apparently some people see a warning label and think, bet.
Yeah.
So tonight...
Was he from Florida as well?
Wisconsin.
Did he move there? From Florida?
We raise our mugs of slightly burnt cocoa, or blue lobster rocket.
Twisted tea raspberry.
To our snowblower samurai, a man who went out in a blizzard of bad decisions. The official moral: always power down your equipment before maintenance. The Ghoul Talk moral: if it hums, grinds, or comes with its own manual, it's not flirting, it's warning you. And if you ever find yourself saying, I'll just reach in for a sec, congratulations. You're auditioning for our next Final Destination Amateur Hour.
Exhibition. We'll be reading about you soon.
Yeah.
On a future episode of Ghoul Talk Open Late.
Yeah, so I'm going to take another drink and maybe get into my M&Ms.
Ooh, yeah, maybe we should have some M&Ms. Should we open at the same time? Oh, okay. Cheers. Let's see, we got the same color.
Green.
Red and green!
I love it.
Christmas. Who else is ready for the Christmas holidays? Can't wait.
I can't wait, but it also stresses me out to no end.
The snow's on the ground. Feet are cold. My Uggs are soaked. Yep. Still wear them outside even though they've never been waterproof.
Oh, yeah. You're all stuffed into shopping
Bags?
stores? Stores. In hot
Shops? Stores? Places?
You know, like when you get into a store and like, you're wearing too much clothing. And
Oh,
it's just
that's
so
the
hot.
worst.
Yeah.
I stress sweat too, so like if one thing like goes wrong or like I'm panicking, then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm gonna pass out because I have too many layers on and I don't know what to do with them. And I also learned that you should never like put anything that you're gonna actually touch later in the top part of the cart, the little flippy downy piece, because that's where babies poop in their diapers and that's where their poopy diapers go.
Ew!
Yeah! How many times have you set like a pack of cookies you were buying up in there, or like even your purse? Guaranteed there's trace little
Poopies.
rosebuds.
Okay,
So
great.
beware of that when you're doing your holiday shopping, everybody.
Thanks, April.
No problem. I'm always here for you with your useless information. Always here for you.
Gross.
And before we hang up our stockings, let's open our inbox for one last gift. It's time for Buried Secrets, Ghosted Again, where our listeners overshare so that we don't have to, but probably will anyway.
Okay, so this comes from a Ryan L. I don't know where he's from.
Shout out.
Huh?
I said shout out, Ryan
Hi,
L.
Ryan.
Hi.
I don't know if this really counts as a ghost story, but it's the only thing that ever made me move out of a place overnight.
Ooh, midnight move.
A few years back, I rented a basement apartment in this old house. It wasn't, like, terrible. A little damp, smelled like wet concrete, but it was cheap and close to work. The landlord said that the previous owner used to keep his workshop down there, which explained all the random hooks in the ceiling and the scuff marks on the floor. It was always quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that makes you start noticing your own breathing. A couple weeks in, I started hearing slow dragging sounds above me at night. I figured it was just a tenant upstairs moving furniture, until he mentioned he worked nights and wasn't even home. Then, little things started changing. My keys would be in a different spot, the towel I hung up would be on the floor, a spoon I left in the sink would somehow be back in the drawer, wet. Nothing dramatic, just enough to make me second-guess myself. Some nights the air felt off, heavier, like the atmosphere shifted when I walked in. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with that feeling you get when someone's standing too close. The kind of awareness that crawls up your spine before your brain even catches up. The first time, I told myself it was stress. The third time, I slept with my shoes on.
Oh, God. Ready to run. See, he's a runner, too, just like me.
One night, I was half asleep when I heard it. Slow, steady breathing. Close. Like someone was standing at the end of the bed. I held my breath. But it kept going. When I reached for the lamp, the bulb popped. The breathing stopped. I didn't move, didn't look around, just sat there until I could convince my legs to work, grabbed my bag, and slept in my car until sunrise. When I told the landlord I was leaving, he didn't even look surprised, just said, yeah, the guy who used to own that place died down there. Heart attack, I think. Like it was nothing. I didn't even ask for my deposit back. I just left.
He's probably counting on people getting freaked out and he gets all these deposits. He's just benefiting.
Dude! Not very nice, but Ryan, I hope you're in a better place now. That sounded wrong.
That sounded like he's in heaven. Seeing the big guy upstairs. I guess he was living in a basement. Hopefully you are upstairs.
Yeah,
now.
hopefully you're upstairs.
Not in that house.
No upstairs neighbors.
We wish you the best. All the best.
Ryan L.
All right, that's enough festive fear for one night. Let's wrap this up tighter than my budget after Christmas shopping. You've been listening to Ghoul Talk Open Late, where the ghosts jingle all the way, and the hosts definitely need more caffeine.
Send us your buried secrets, spooky stocking stuffers, or tales of cursed holiday decor to gtopenlate@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram or TikTok and give us a 5-star rating. And remember, Santa isn't the only one watching.